I use the clicker method, which, and I get this question a lot. When I use the clicker, it's just a dog trading clicker. That's all that it is. It just, and I use it to mark my mistakes as I'm narrating an audiobook. And then it leaves like a clear mark in the waveform where I can see and then go back to. So when I edit, I can clearly see where the mistakes are. So my point is, with that method, I can retake a line a few different ways if I want to. And then when I go back and edit, I can select the take that works best. So for proofing for me, I think I've gotten to the point where I trust myself to say the words that I'm seeing enough that I don't have to proof. I think there's only been a couple of books, again, in the beginning where an author had said, hey, you mispronounced something or you said something wrong, or not so much in the last few years. So I guess I've gotten to the point where so point is, I guess at this point, I don't do any kind of proofing at all. I know, Eric, you use, well, what did you tell us? What did you do? What do
So
you
we
do?
were discussing right before we went live here. I honestly can't remember what I did before I used Pozotron. I've used Pozotron pretty much since it came out, which I also can't remember how long that's been. It's been a few years. But so I'm partially with you in that I'm semi confident in what I say. I've got enough experience to be confident in what I say. But somebody commented a little bit ago that I can somebody commented that they trust what they say. Also, you shouldn't do that because you are going to mix up words that the author says it one way, which is grammatically correct. You say it another way, which is
Mm,
grammatically correct. Your brain is going to do it the way
yeah,
that you do it. So you may think that that came out right, and grammatically it is, but it's not the way the script is, and we all know you have to follow the script.
right.
So I record it, and then I put everything through Positron, and Positron pops up everything, and I go back through and I make my corrections, and we can go into the details of how my process for that when we get to
And you're right. I mean, even with Launchpad and all of the mentees that I've had working specifically on audiobooks, when they're reading copy, when we're working on copy, and you know this, Eric, you've been in Launchpad for a long, long time and Platinum before that. But anyway, a lot of new narrators will, their brain sees something that doesn't quite flow right, so they change it,
that.
right? They'll change the copy or they'll substitute words, omit words, you know, that kind of thing because it feels more natural to your brain and you
To
don't
the way you
realize you're
speak.
doing it
Yeah,
until you,
a good example is an author will say they only had one way. Well, in my normal day speaking, I would have said they had only one way. They're
yes.
both grammatically correct, but that's not what the author said. So
Mm-hmm.
those I find a lot of my mistakes are those types of mistakes where I transposed it into how I speak,
Yeah.
you know.
Your brain is correcting as you go.
Mhm.
And that's a question I get a lot. If the author's copy that they gave you, the manuscript, has clear typos, grammatical errors, anything that you think is incorrect, do you change it? And that's
That's a slippery slope.
it is a slippery slope for sure. That's a good way to put it. Because what I would do, I would stop immediately. And this is another reason why you should be prepping or reviewing, skimming through, reading the manuscript before you even start so you can catch these things instead of mid narration. But if you see something that stands out to you that could be wrong or needs to be fixed, stop what you're doing, reach out to the author and say, hey, I just wanted to be sure that I have the final draft of this manuscript. It has happened to me before where I got, the copy that was in stage 2 of
Mhm.
5 editing stages, right? It was the wrong copy they sent me. So I had to stop and wait for the final draft. It could be that, maybe you just got the wrong copy. Or, and I know a lot of people are afraid of offending the author, perhaps, because maybe the author is self-published and they didn't send it to an editor, a copy editor, or anything like that.
Because that costs them money. Maybe they can't afford to do that.
Right. So they don't want to offend the author, but ultimately it's going to save you and improve the production in the long run if you just stop and ask the question. If they say no, it's this is the final draft, it's not been edited, I don't know what I'm doing, whatever they say to you, you can offer like proofing. You can offer like another pass through just to make sure that it flows, and but make sure that your rate or you're being compensated for that extra work. But you can do that.
Mm.
And then once the final draft is done with you, send it back to the author, let them put their eyes on it, and then they go, okay, great. And then you can narrate it knowing that you've both now agreed to what is there.
I have, I've been fortunate enough to work with a few authors that I'm doing multiple books for, but that doesn't apply. You can do it with even a one-off. If you have the relationship or the conversation with the author beforehand, hey, so by the way, if I come across a simple typo, it says he and it should have been she, you can just tell from the dialogue, can I make those changes on the fly? If you get that information, that approval from them to begin with, then you can operate based on that. I did have an author recently who there was a sentence that it just made no grammatical sense whatsoever. And I texted him and I said, hey, so I screenshotted, this is what the sentence says. He came back with a joke and goes, damn editors, I paid for an editor and they missed that. So yeah, he threw the editor under the bus, it's like, and it happens, so if it's a he versus she, sometimes you can make those changes on the fly. If it's a major thing like this sentence makes no sense, you're going to need clarification on what to do about that. And yeah, sometimes this has been through the editing process and it has been through an editor and they didn't catch it. It just happens,
Yeah.
And then on the third hand, sometimes your relationship with that author is going to be, nope, read it as it is.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All other reasons to be upfront and have this conversation with the author up front. And also keep in mind that if you do get the okay to change words, fix errors on the fly, make sure you note that on the manuscript so you can send that revised manuscript back to the author. So then that way they can update the print copy, they can update the other copies that they have. So make sure you notate that, like with the strike through or something, however you do it in the manuscript.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things happen. Nothing is perfect. So I guess that's a good example. Their manuscript, their script they send you is not perfect. Your narration of it is not going to be perfect.
Right.
They both need to go through some sort of vetting process to make sure they're correct.
Yeah,
as much as you think they might not.
Yeah, and like you said, and like we always say, the written word and spoken word are two different things. It might look good on paper, it might read fine on paper, but spoken out loud,
it does not work.
Yeah, so they might leave it in your hands as the professional narrator to maybe, massage it a little bit so it flows a little bit better. But again, please make note of what you're changing so the author can update their copies on their end.
Harrison Ford is famous when they were filming Star Wars, the original Star Wars. Harrison Ford was famous about telling George Lucas, some of the script that he wrote in the script looks good on paper, but you can't say this stuff. It just does not come out. It just doesn't flow if you say it as a character on screen. There is a difference.
And that happens. For sure. So how I know that you currently are using Pozotron, and Pozotron, for those that don't know, what is Pozotron?
So Pozotron started, it's a proofing program. You upload your script into it and it will break down the script. It will find all the characters. It will find all the words that it thinks might be difficult words like rendezvous or hors d'oeuvre or any kind of foreign word. It will find all those and it will flag them. Let me back up. You pay for the service to begin with. And then you pay a one-time fee per project to have it break down the words and stuff like that. So prior to that, you're just paying for it to proof the script. If you want to pay the extra, I think it's $12 per project. It breaks down all the words. It finds all the characters. And then what you can do is you can go to each of these words and it will say Angela, okay, so Angela, what is, and you can record what Angela's voice sounds like, so that when Angela's in chapter 1 and chapter 6 and chapter 21, you don't have to go back and go, okay, so what voice did I use for her? You can put her voice in there, so that whenever you go back to that character, you can just play that voice, and that's your recorded voice of it. So that's what you're using for Angela. For a word that you may not know, you can look up that word definition via various dictionaries, Webster, Merriam-Webster, same thing, Forvo, different dictionaries. And Forvo I like because all the dictionaries, you can play a sample of what that word sounds like being pronounced. But Forvo uses an actual person, like a French person saying the word rendezvous. So it's an actual person saying that word. So you actually get it, what it sounds like in their dialect, in their accent, versus a computer generated, rendezvous, kind of thing. But so you can do that. And so it will pronounce all the words, the difficult words, 95% of it. Sometimes there's a word it doesn't know. By no means is Pozotron perfect or foolproof. But so you can pay for that service, but then it has the entire manuscript there. And then when you're done recording your chapters, and you can either upload it chapter by chapter, or you can wait till the whole book's done, you'll upload all your chapters. It will listen to all of them, and it will compare every chapter, every word you spoke to the chapters in the book. And it will list all of your corrections. It will list all of your pauses that were longer than a normal pause between sentences. So like if you take a 2-second pause between scene breaks, or between chapter 1 and you wait 3 seconds and you start reading, it will flag all of those. And for like things like pauses, it will say, here's a pause that was 2.61 seconds long. Do you want to keep it? Do you want to change? Blah, blah, blah. You can filter out, nope, any pause that's less than 2 seconds is good to go. And it will filter all those out and go, okay, never mind. But any longer pauses, it'll flag those, or whatever. And if it's a pause that's 3 seconds, do you want to filter out all the pauses shorter than this one? La, la, la. We talked about before we started should'ves and could'ves and would'ves. If the script says would've, it might flag it. You said would have. No, I didn't. I know what I said. And you can listen to all these errors, all these corrections. Goes, nope, that's an okay. You can click okay, or you can filter all those out. You can filter out multiples of the same thing. If there's a name that Pozotron doesn't know, you can filter out every instance of that name. No, I said Lestat properly. Lestat is not a real name, so it's not going to necessarily know how to pronounce that. Is. Well, you and I know it is. But before 1976, it was not a real name. But you can that's true. But you can filter out all of these things. So that's what I do, is I go through and I filter out all of my mistakes that I know are okay. I filter out all the pauses that I meant, all this other kind of stuff, leaving just the errors that I actually need to correct. And that will usually knock my correction list almost by half. And now I only have, 100 corrections in a whole book to make, or 150 or whatever. That's another thing. Let me pause that. I see a lot of things on social media. Oh, I finished this book and there was only X amount of pickups. I don't know that that's a brag. It's okay to make mistakes. Yeah. If you complete an entire book and you've only made 3 mistakes, I bet you didn't. I don't think that's possible. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay if you have 200 mistakes in an 8-hour book. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Mm-hmm. No one is grading you on that. So don't worry about it. If you make mistakes, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say that's a strawberry seed in my wisdom tooth.
I've never heard that expression before.
Yeah,
but
it gets stuck right there and bothers you.
Relatable. Yeah. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Okay, so for those that are unfamiliar with Pozotron, you said that there was an extra service for $12 that did character voice storage or references. But what is the basic? And how much is that?
So the basic is you pay. So their billing is monthly. And for example, I think it's based on I can't remember if it's universal or just when you sign up. My billing is the 6th of every month. You have until the 5th, or even I guess the morning of the 6th, to change your subscription, your billing amount based on how much you did that month.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a lean month, maybe you only did one book and you only used it for 8 hours or 9 hours worth of proofing, you don't need to pay for what you paid for last month where you had 2 books or 3 books or whatever. So you can change it up until the 11th freaking hour and only pay for what you use.
Huh.
They break it down and they even have a handy little slider of how many books do you think you're going to do this month, or how many hours and stuff like that, and you can slide it and it'll tell you, okay, so this is what we're going to charge you. I got to stop putting my hand in front of my face. A little slider is to tell you how much it's going to be, and then if you go over that, so for sake of argument, I plan on doing an 8-hour book this month, and that's all. Well, it turned out to be 9.5 hours. It'll tell you for 8 hours we're going to charge you $80, and then I can't remember what it is, $12 for the additional. They just prorate the extra, so you're not stuck in it. But it's better than paying for 12 hours and you only use 9.5. Now you're getting billed for 2.5 hours that you didn't use. Okay. So you can so again, you can wait until the 11th hour of your billing cycle and go back and see, and it will tell you this is how many hours you've used this month. Oh, okay, well then I need to slide it down so I don't get paid, or I don't get charged too much.
So it sounds like it's $10 per finished hour, and
it's something like that, yeah.
So do you get all the filtering with that base?
So with the basic you put the script in it, and see, here's the thing: when you put the script in, it does all this work for you, so that if later you decide, you know what, I want all the characters broken down or all the foreign words broken down, you just click the button. It's already done the work. It's just now going to charge you for it and give you the information. So it's not like you have to wait additional for it. It's already done the work. But at a minimum, it's in there. Your script is in there, and it's just waiting for you to upload your audio so you can proof it. That's what you're paying for at the bare minimum, is proofing.
Okay.
And then you can, and I need to caveat this. Pozotron does so much more than I'm aware of. I use probably a quarter of its features. It's got lots of features that I don't use, and it depends on your personal workflow. But you go through and you do your proofing, and you can, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to give bad info. Yeah, I'm not. There's so much that it can do that I don't use, and I don't want to go down the wrong path. I don't want to go down
that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't want to say something that it can do this. No, it can't.
I respect that. Okay, yeah. And believe it or not, this live chat is not sponsored by Pozotron. We're just giving you guys information, because there are, if your system or your process rather doesn't have the time, you don't have the ability to go through and proof it yourself. If you use punch and roll and you're just going with that, apart from Pozotron, and I think Pozotron might be the only software out there that does that right now. I could be wrong, but that's the one that we hear of most often in the industry. But apart from AI assisted, like text-based proofing, you can also hire a human proofer. And you can find them on places like Upwork, Fiverr, and in our Platinum group and Launchpad, you could probably, if you're in our group, you could probably find somebody to barter with, right? I'll proof this for you if you do this for me, that kind of a thing. Another great reason to network in the industry, right, with other narrators, because narrators know what to look for. They know how to edit and delete and paste and all of those things. So those are definitely options. I don't know. I've never hired a proofer myself. Do you have any idea what proofing costs? What a human proofer? Yeah.
No idea.
Have you ever hired no?
I never have.
If you're in the chat, if you've hired a proofer, let us know in the chat so we can give everybody watching some kind of an idea. If I had to guess, for just proofing, that takes time. So I would imagine that's not going to be cheap. I would say at the very least $30, $50 per finished hour. Would you say that's fair?
That seems like a lot, but then again,
But they're listening through every second of it, right? And
well,
comparing it to the manuscript.
The problem is twofold with hiring a human. It's going to take 8 hours to listen to an 8-hour book.
Yeah.
What if you're not their only client? What if they have a regular 9 to 5?
Yeah.
You have to factor that into your workflow calendar.
Yeah.
Second, at a $200 or $250 PFH, if you're going to hire out your audio engineer, if you're going to hire out your proofer, I mean, you're cutting into your profit, those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. Um, you said something to me many, many moons ago. We were talking about finances with regards to audiobook narration, and I've always remembered this. It's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
You have to. It just is. It's the
It
cost of
is.
doing business. You're going to pay
Mm-hmm.
a human. You're going to pay something like a program. So you're going to pay
You're either going to pay with money
or
to
time.
outsource, or you're going to pay with your own time. Either
Yeah.
way, it's going to cost something to get the job done. It's just going to be
Mm-hmm.
up to you which way you want to go.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have an audio engineer and you're only hiring a proofer, again, if anybody has in the chat, let me know what they charge just out of curiosity. But I would have to think, again, with time, that takes time. And then, watching the manuscript, watching and listening to what I'm hearing, following along, that takes time. I would imagine that wouldn't be a Pozotron $10 per finished hour. It might be a little bit more than that, I would
Yeah.
think. But on the flip side, though, I know and I hear a lot about Positron. Like you said, it picks up words that are there and tells you that it's wrong. I've also heard you say that Positron. My point is Positron AI. Of course, as we know, AI is not perfect; it's flawed. But Positron will also have issues with what were you telling me, like hyphens or brackets or something in a
Hmm.
PDF. You were telling me something that it was translating it wrong.
Yeah. So sometimes, and I think they might have fixed this. Sometimes the format of the manuscript that you get from your RH is such that you'll upload it in Positron, and it's just there's all kinds of errors in it and stuff like that, and that's because it has nothing to do with Positron didn't do it wrong, the RH didn't do it wrong. It's just in that particular instance they don't
Yeah, the
communicate well.
language is not. Yeah.
Positron has, unless they fixed it permanently, Positron has a fix in it. You can go back up into it and tell it, okay, do this thing. And it will go, oh, I understand. This manuscript is one of those wonky ones. Okay, I'll go back and redo it
So
a different way. And it doesn't charge you for that.
so you can talk to Positron like ChatGPT.
Um, well, first of all, I've never used their chat system. Their customer service is insane, is great. They have great customer service. They will get back to you very quickly, usually within the same day, if not the next.
Oh,
And you can always schedule a 15, 20, 30-minute Zoom session with them. If, hey, can you help me out with this? I've had to go on with them with billing because I suck at billing. So it's like, okay, can you explain to me why this is doing this? Their customer service is really, really good. And again, not sponsored by Positron. Their
yeah.
customer service is just really good. So if you ever have any issues, questions, you can go on to them and schedule. And if they don't do a live thing, they'll answer you. You can communicate via email. I've never used the actual chat, but
So
but
they hop on a live call with you, like a video call?
they'll schedule it. Sometimes
Huh,
if they have the same day, 3 o'clock today or whatever, they'll send you a Zoom link and we'll see you tomorrow at 1:15 for a
impressive.
15-minute or a 30-minute thing or whatever. Yeah.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm,
Really good customer service.
interesting.
And they have, I guess, seminars, how-to seminars. Hey, this is us. We're going to do one of these. This is how Positron works
Hmm.
every so often. So if you're considering it, you can hop on one of those.
Didn't you say they also do like a one-on-one tutorial with you too to walk you
Same
through it?
same thing. Yeah, you can schedule a meeting with them and go, yeah. So I'm new to Positron. I'm considering doing this. Can you tell me why it's worth it or whatever? Or
Yeah.
I'm already a subscriber and I'm having issue with. Tell me about the new features or whatever.
Yeah. The new
Yeah.
new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Their customer service is really good, and I know there's some people in the Platinum group and the Launchpad group that will agree. Rebecca, if you're on here, I know I believe you've used it before and been real impressed with their um, customer service.
I just remembered something I was going to say earlier when we were talking about when you're not proofing your audiobooks, or no, when you're talking about making only a few mistakes right? That wasn't something to be braggadocious about. But I also want to note that almost every audiobook that I have heard, maybe not almost every, maybe 60% of the audiobooks I listen to, I'm an avid consumer of books in all formats. And like 60% of audiobooks that I hear, there's a mistake left in it. And the most recent one I heard it in was Project Hail Mary. So I
You
wanted to tell
what?
you,
Watch what you say. Do not
I'm not,
blaspheme.
no. Ye of little faith. I think Ray Porter was not editing this one. I
Okay.
think this one was recorded and edited by Audible Studios.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So, and I know we cannot, I mean, Ray Porter, we love you.
Mm.
Okay. There was a retake left in.
Oh.
I've heard it in the Stephen King books. I've heard it, I mean, like big name books. I've heard mistakes left in. And again, no fault of the narrator, more than likely, even if it was. But my point is that mistakes happen and it's okay. Do not strive for the perfection.
Correct.
Because you'll never get there. Don't wait for the perfect. Don't over edit because you think every little thing in there needs to be addressed. It doesn't. As long as your performance is on point, you're saying the words that are there. If you leave your breaths in, hallelujah, leave them in. If you left one little mouth click in there, it's not the end of the world. If you left a retake in, believe me, it's not a big deal. As long as the listener is engaged and invested and wanting to hear what you say next, they're not going to care if there's a little sip of water left in.
Yeah.
Or a retake left in, like I heard with Project Hail Mary. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
They go right past it. They might make a mental note, but they're so invested in the story, it's gone 2 seconds later.
Agreed.